Well, sorry about those difficulties. My name's Austin Gillard. I'm the CEO of Clay County Medical Center. Been here a little over a year now, and today I'm going to talk to you about the building and expansion project that we're looking at doing at Clay County Medical Center, and this will be on the ballot on the August 2nd election. And our campaign is building for a healthy future, just as it has been when we built the physician clinic and when we built this building that we're in 2006. A little bit about what I'm going to talk about today is the community history, how the community's been supportive of the Clay County Medical Center over the last 50 years, our growth that we've been experiencing at the facility, the years built, our current building, the patient flow of our current facility, the new design, summary of project costs, and then how you can go and register to vote on August 2nd for this. So just up front, before I get started, a lot of people want to know, am I going to be taxed more? And the answer is no. We do receive about 5.98 mils from the county currently. We've received that tax levy for over 20 years and it hasn't been increased. So we're not going to increase the mill levy or try to increase sales taxes to do this project. So just know that in advance. I like to get that out there because before I go through the presentation, a lot of people might not really be perceptive of what I'm saying if they think their taxes are going to be increased. So just know it's going to be status quo with taxes. We're able to fund this project that we're looking at doing through the current mill levy that's provided by the county. So just a little bit about our community history. Clay County Medical Center was originally built in 1962. In 1993, we were able to add on the physician's clinic with the help of the foundation, which was founded in 1987. A few years forward, we were able to update the outpatient clinic and update the ER a little bit. And then in 2006, the foundation did a large fundraising effort to build the wellness center, which we're in currently. It all started with a nice donation from Mark A. Chapman, and that's why the wellness center downstairs has his name on it. So the community over the last, like I said, 50, 60 years has been very supportive of Clay County Medical Center and our growth to this community. And I think you can tell and see that the progressiveness of our hospital compared to other hospitals in the region, how many services we provide, how many doctors that we have here at Clay County Medical Center. So we'd just like to thank you for all the community support that's been provided to us over the years. So, and then a lot of people are asking, why now? Why are we looking at doing this now? Austin, you've only been here a little over a year. Why are we looking at this? Well, our hospital, the main parts of the hospital that we're looking at updating were built from 1962 to 1969. Right now, interest rates on bonds are the lowest they've ever been. I can get a 30-year bond for about 2.8 or 2.9%. And we've been looking at updating surgery really since 2005, before we even built this building. We know in order to grow and to continue to provide vital healthcare services to this community, we have to stay up with the times. Medicine and surgeries have changed since 1967. They just have. And so that's really why we're looking at doing this now. How do we bring in more services? How do we have the current orthopedic docs and general surgeons in this community continue to provide these services here? And they'd like to expand their services. You know, they're driving an hour from Manhattan or Salina up to Clay County Medical Center. They're seeing 20 patients and they're driving an hour back and they're spending a half day here. They said, how nice would it be if I could spend a full day here, see patients, do surgeries, then go home? It makes my time more worthwhile than spending 2 hours in a car and seeing patients. Why not just do surgeries, see patients, and focus a whole day here at the medical center? So that's really why we're looking at doing something like this. And let's just talk a little bit about our growth. The family practice group becomes part of us this Friday, July 1st. So all the physicians and their employees will be part of Clay County Medical Center as of Friday this week. And joining us also is Dr. Lormeyer, Allie Lormeyer. She'll start August 5th here at Clay County Medical Center. She already bought a home. She's expecting a little baby in September. But I said, are you sure you want to come to work for a month? And she said, yes, I want to come. But they did buy a home here in Clay Center. She's married, and they currently have a 1-year-old daughter named Ada. So we're very fortunate to have her in our community. She's mainly going to focus on OB to get more OB patients and see those younger moms and babes in the community. So we're very excited to have Dr. Lormeyer and her family in the community. And with that, like I said, the orthopedic group with Dr. McAtee and Jones would like to continue to provide services here and eventually provide orthopedic services in our facility. But in order to do that, they're not able to practice in a 1967 surgery suite. That's maybe 20 by 20 feet. Times have just changed. They can't get all the equipment in that region. And same as surgical associates with Dr. Pauls and Dr. Seville, who come out of Manhattan to provide services at our community. Their volumes in surgery continue to increase, and we'd like to grow and increase with them to expand those services. So let's talk about the years built of the facility. In red, which I've highlighted around, you can see the main core of the hospital. Right here is patient wings. Here's OB. This is current surgery, which was updated in 1967. And then in 1969, some ER work was updated. But you can see the main core of the facility was built from 1962 to 1969. And that's really what we're looking at for the future of this building design. How do we not invest millions of dollars into a building that only has 10-foot ceilings? The building totals 10 feet high, 8-foot ceilings. We have to run piping and electrical on the roof currently because there's no crawl space in between that ceiling like we have in this new building. And how do we provide a better environment for our patients with the heating and cooling? Some patients are really hot, some patients are really cold when they're ill. Well, at Clay County Medical Center currently, we have a two-pipe system. So you're either hot or cold, and you can't really decide on what the temp in your room is going to be. So how do we provide more comfort for our patients? Because that's really what it's about. It's about the quality of care that we provide to our patients. So in this region, like I said, we have acute services, surgery, lab, imaging, and OB, and pharmacy and respiratory therapy. So the heart of the hospital is really what we're talking about, updating and expanding. It's just not fluff that we're looking at doing. It all involves patient care. And currently in our surgery department, which I keep talking about, our pre-op and post-op rooms are over here. So if you come in for a colonoscopy or you want to get your appendix removed, you're actually over here at first. They have to wheel you all the way down into surgery, which might not seem like a long way, but it's not the highest quality of care that we could provide to our patients. And with an updated surgery suite, we'd be able to enhance that experience for those patients. So in our current building, this is kind of a design on what we have currently that we're looking at updating. It's basically a 10-foot, 11-foot building, about 8-foot ceilings, and you can see the space right here. There's no real space to run stuff. And times, again, have changed. We have Ethernet cables all over, IT equipment, water pipes, electrical that we have to run through this facility in these old power systems. But we do have these tunnels, which is where these old two-pipe systems are ran through the building. And sometimes, believe it or not, those do flood because it's underground. So. And this just shows you another example of our current building. When you guys leave here today, just look out on the roof. This is an electrical pipe which we have to store wires on. Since we're not able to get a lot of heating and cooling to the patient rooms, we have to put in these individual units on the roof to feed into the hallways of the hospital because we don't have the two-pipe system ran in the hallways of the hospital. Up here is actually where we have our surgery humidity monitoring system because we're not able to put it inside the building. So when it's 100 degrees out, they're trying to do operations in our surgery department. And they're trying to keep that cool, trying to keep that air circulated. But that whole ductwork's exposed right on the building because we had nowhere else to run that. And this is just another unit that just shows you we have several of those on the roof just to keep the main patient area cool in the summertime because the system just can't keep up. And this just shows you a little bit about the current space. Again, we have a beautiful hospital. I feel fortunate that we have what we have here, but things can be improved. It's not a bad patient room. It's comfortable. It could be larger, but the problem is there's no really handicap accessible bathroom, and there's not private showers or bathtubs in these patient rooms. So this is just an example of a shower. We have 2 community showers that we have to wheel patients down the hallway to take a shower. And then after that, we have to wheel them back when they're soaking wet back to their room. How nice would it be if we could provide a patient with a nice quality room with an ADA compliant bathroom with their own shower, everything right in that room for that patient instead of being wheeled back and forth when grandma or mom or your loved one has to go take a shower. This just shows you what the two-pipe system looks like. It's ran through these pipes in the patient room. Again, this is another bathroom with a bathtub if the patient wants a bath. A big thing is the admissions bay. When you walk into the front of the hospital and you get admitted into the hospital, there's not much privacy here in this admissions bay. We're able to see 2 patients at a time. The wall separating it's 2 feet long. So, well, Mr. Gillard, why are you here? Well, I'm here to get a colonoscopy. Okay, well, what's your social? Where do you live? This person next to him can hear every basically thing that you're saying, and people get uncomfortable with that when they're coming in for larger procedures or they're here for different tests, because this might be their neighbor, and maybe they don't want their neighbor to know what's going on in their family's history or with them. So it's really important for privacy and for HIPAA reasons with that front lobby. Back in surgery, this is when we were going to remove an appendix. That surgery department's very crowded. Again, it's a small surgery department, and there's a lot of surgical equipment that goes into these surgeries now. It's just not giving someone a shot and cutting them up. There's a lot of anesthesia equipment, new equipment, state-of-the-art equipment that we need to be able to provide in our surgery suites that we're just not able to do. We do it, but it's not ideal currently in the current space. In the future building, just like this building, they're very high ceilings. You have about 5 feet up above this ceiling where we can run new pipes, water, electrical, heating and cooling systems, so they're not exposed to the elements which our current building is exposed to. And let's just talk about patient flow. So in the ideal situation, you don't want your inpatient area where your acute patients are to be loud. They're there to heal. They might have just had a big surgery. They might have came back from knee surgery, or they might just be sick with the flu and getting over that. And they're here to rest and sleep. In our current environment, the main hallway of the hospital is the main hallway which the patients are at. So you've got foot traffic back and forth. You've got housekeeping back and forth. You have me yelling down the hall, talking to employees, which I don't mean to do. But it's not a real quiet inpatient zone. You want it quiet for those patients and our loved ones. And that just shows the inpatient zone here. In the middle is more of your outpatient services where you come in, you get surgery, you go to imaging, lab, or your admissions office. And then, of course, your outpatient services like PT, OT, and just your clinic like CCFP, for instance. That's really how you want your hospital structured. You want all of this busy stuff away from this area where these patients are trying to heal and get better. And this just shows you the current flow of our building. Again, this is the current clinic. This is where you walk into the hospital. Here's radiology. We have mammo right here and ultrasound. If anyone's been here for mammo or an ultrasound, you'll actually notice that those rooms are actually closets because we ran out of space in radiology. They're closets. Through here's outpatient clinic. Here's respiratory therapy. If you get admitted here and you need lab work, you have to walk down this hallway to get lab work. We only have one drawing station currently. And if that's busy, the patient has to wait outside of the lab because there's not enough room in our lab. Surgery rooms, the pre-op and post-op, when you're admitted into the hospital, the nurse has to walk you down here to do your pre-op. And then once they're ready for you in surgery, they have to wheel you on your gurney all the way down into surgery to get your surgical procedure. After that, when you're still under anesthesia, they have to bring you back through that hallway. It's not the most ideal situation when you come to get a procedure. So that's the current patient flow at Clay County Medical Center. So let's talk about the new building. There's a sheet in front of you, and if you can't see this, there's a little design for you there on what the board and I have been working on over the last year with a company called Health Facilities Group. We did hire an architectural firm, and we have already selected our construction managers just so we could get some hard numbers on what will this cost us. What's the guaranteed maximum price that if we go for bonds and ask the county to back our bonds, what it'll be? Because we can't go over that. So what is the max price? And that's why we did this. So what we figured out is, again, why would we throw millions of dollars into a 1962 to a 1969 facility? Why not just keep expanding around the facility and build new? So this wellness center is new, this area's been updated, and just wrap around when we can, because this was built in 1993, and get away from investing millions of dollars into, again, a 1962 to 1969 facility. So right here, what we have here is the new 28,000 square foot addition. Here's still the main entrance. This will be a large canopy that'll be over so people can pull under several cars, so grandma and grandpa, your loved one, don't need to get snowed on or rained on anymore when they come to our facility. You'll still enter the family practice clinic like you always have, but right here, you'll walk into the new hospital space. There's 3 private admission bays. Those doors will be able to be shut. We wanted to really increase the patient experience for our inpatients here. We run about 12 inpatients a day in the hospital. Not large, but still, we need to be mindful of those patients. So we decided, how do we how do we update the rooms to make, so we don't have to use this existing space, how do we update those rooms to make it more patient-friendly and quiet, first of all, for those patients? So through here are new patient rooms for our patients. Each room has their own individual bathroom, toilet, shower, good size, all handicap accessible. Right through here is actually going to be a courtyard. Every patient room, by regulations, has to have a window seeing the outdoors. So we said, how nice would it be to have a courtyard that's well landscaped that you could actually bring patients out to if they'd like to do that. So there's a courtyard here. Through here is OB. We continue to see an uptick in our OB department, which is positive, and that's why we brought Dr. Laura Meyer on as well. And we have 2 more actually family practice docs that we might interview in the next 2 months that would like to come here, both female, both like to do OB. So we're going to update our OB department. And then through here is surgery. So it's a fully isolated surgery department. So you have your pre-op and post-op rooms right here, so no more wheeling you down the hall. You'll check in for admissions. You know, Mr. Gillard's here to get a colonoscopy. You'll wait right here. Dr. Pauls or the surgeon will come out and get you, or the nurse. They'll bring you back in these rooms, and these doors are shut. So your whole experience during that time will be in one contained unit. When you're ready to go home, they'll dismiss you right from these PACU rooms out the door, and your loved ones can take you home. So it's really contained and nice and private for the patients. In this is 2 orthopedic-sized ORs. Dr. Jones and Dr. McAtee have said, if you build it, you know, we'll come here and do larger procedures, carpal tunnels, shoulders, some scopes. So how nice would it be not to have to drive to Manhattan or Salina for those orthopedic procedures? You could get that done right here. But in order to do that, like I said, they're not able to do it in our current space. So how do we update that space that makes it more attractive for them? And then through here is a nursing core, and then this is an outpatient clinic kind of area where people come in for IV infusions, wound care. I know eventually we'd like to get back into chemo so people didn't have to drive to Manhattan or Salina for chemotherapy. And these rooms would be able to provide that kind of space that we need to treat those patients, which we're not able to do. Through here is radiology. So we expand radiology. We're going to have a little women's center right here with mammo, DEXA scan. So it's more private for those females when they have to disrobe. And well, when they have to disrobe, you don't want them walking back and forth into hallways like they do currently. How nice would it be if it's just one enclosed unit for our female patients? So radiology gets expanded and enclosed. And then lab, instead of being all the way over here, we're going to put the lab right up front. So again, the patients walk in. They can either go to CCFP, the clinic. They can walk in here, be registered, go to radiology, go to lab, come in for surgery. And at the whole time, we're not affecting our current patients. It's quiet back there. There's not a lot of foot traffic from myself and our employees in that area or other family members. So it's a lot quieter environment for those patients. We did have money earmarked for a chapel, so we will be putting a chapel somewhere in here, most likely probably around here in the old surgery space. And cardiac rehab will remain where it is, and physical therapy will remain where it is. A lot of people want to know why. Cardiac rehab and physical therapy use the wellness center a lot for their patients. They bring them back in there, they walk on treadmills, and yes, it'd be nice to move them somewhere around here up front, but they really utilize the wellness center. I think the patients really enjoy the wellness center as well when they're doing therapies with those patients. So a lot of people have been wondering, well, what are you going to do with all this existing space that you just vacated? Great question. We're really out of office space in this building. Just alone in my billing department, I have 4 people in one small room, probably a third of the size of this. There's private conversations that happen on the phone with those billing encoders. So a lot of this will turn into office space for our billing and coding department, a lot of business office functions. Surgery in the future, I don't know if any of you have been in the ER lately, but it needs a little bit of update. And if there's contingency money left over, our goal is to update the ER. The ER currently is in this little space right here. Our goal would be to extend that out right here. So this would become ER. Our outpatient clinic rooms where Dr. McAtee, Dr. Jones, any of the 15 different subspecialists that come to Clay County Medical Center, we'd like to take this part over and keep expanding that outpatient clinic so those docs can come in here more. Right now, when we have a busy orthopedic clinic and they're seeing 30 patients in 3 hours, we can't bring another doc in because all those rooms are filled by Dr. McAtee. Well, neat would it be if we could have orthopedics here at the same time we have urology here, because we have more rooms available in that outpatient clinic. So these rooms will eventually all be utilized in the future for further growth of our medical center. This is just a higher up view, again, of what this looks like. Again, surgery, OB, and then the patient rooms. This is mainly just what we call a nurse core. The doctors will be right here with OB waiting to keep the family updated. You need a break room, of course, for your nurses, clean and sterile, and then 2 nurse stations, so the nurses have direct view of what's going on in these rooms, and then the nurses, if we have patients in here, have direct view about what's going on in these rooms. Again, this is the infusion and wound care, which eventually, hopefully, we get into chemo, which can be provided right there. And 3 private admissions bays, and as you can see, a lot of waiting area, which isn't currently provided in our current space in the hospital. So that's why we thought, why not build new, and let's do it right. Let's let it last another 50 years, and let's not throw millions of dollars into a building that's only 10 foot high with 7.5 foot ceilings. And that's why we're really looking at this. How do we do it right, and how do we move forward to see the progression of Clay County Medical Center in the future, again, over the next 10, 20, or 30 years. This is kind of a facility footprint. Ron's old house will most likely be destroyed or moved, I know, but if someone wants to buy it, it's for sale for $1 if the bond vote passes. The museum stays where it is, and we're also going to keep 2 outbuildings just to keep some maintenance equipment in. The big deal is Liberty Street, as many of you know, is right here. So we do have to close Liberty Street, which hasn't really seemed to be a big deal, but there is a large water main, apparently, an 8-inch water main coming right down this street from this large water tower that's over there. So that will need to be moved, and that's already in process of looking, well, how much would that cost? What's the flow test? How would it affect the community? I'm working with Bill Calloway on that. That water main was laid in 1934. So it's probably time to be replaced, and moved anyway. And another connection that feeds the south side of town apparently is about right here. So I think he's been waiting to move this water main for a while, and now's a good time to probably do it. Again, moving that water main's already built into our budget and the figures that I'm about to present to you. So that won't be an additional expense to the taxpayers on that either in the city. So what's it going to cost? The total project cost of everything that you saw in yellow and blue is about $14.62 million. To update that, to issue bonds, there's a lot of legal stuff that goes on. You got to work with a bond agency. That's going to cost about $155,000. We're going to capitalize the interest, so when we're building this project, we're not having to pay anything out of pocket up front. We're what's called a critical access hospital and reimbursed through Medicare at our cost. If the project's not completed, Medicare actually won't reimburse us for any of those payments, and we can't depreciate anything at the time. That's why we're going to capitalize that interest, because Medicare will reimburse us on that capitalized interest. So it's just a numbers game with Medicare. And then we'd like to refinance the existing bonds on this building. We still owe about $1.1 million. They're currently at 5 and 5.5%. And if I can refinance them for 2.8 or 2.9, why wouldn't we do that? So that's why we're looking at wrapping that in with a bond issue. Total bond issue that we're looking for is $16.775 million. Of that, about 14% is contingency that's in that budget, because we don't know if construction costs are going to go up, going to go down, if we're going to run into some kind of problem when we start this building project. So that's kind of what we're looking at, and that's how we came up with the $16.775 million. On the ballot, you'll kind of see a question that looks exactly like this. Shall Clay County, Kansas be authorized to issue general obligation bonds in the amount not to exceed? And then it just says in order to make renovations, construct additions, acquire land to make site improvements, which will be on the ballot. We're working with a bond agency called Piper Jaffray and a bond lawyer firm with Kayla Wing called Gilmore Bell out of Wichita, Kansas. So it's been a great project, a lot of learning on my part, but it's been really neat to see this really all come together over the last year. So with that said, does anyone have any questions? Yes?
How many patient rooms do you have, or will you have?
25, and that's all we're allowed to have.
Private? All private?
They are currently all private. Yep. Yeah, so 25. We only hit a census of 25 about 1 or 2 days a year. Usually about 11 to 12 is our average daily census. Yeah.
Which is pretty average for most critical access hospitals, isn't it?
It's way above average, believe it or not. Yeah, the trend of medicine, about 78% of our volume at Clay County Medical Center is actually outpatient. It's not inpatient volume anymore. You know, people don't really want to be in the hospital anymore. It's not a comfortable place for them. But sometimes they do have to come here for more services, so swing bed or in Mike's location for skilled services after a hip or knee surgery. But the goal is to get those patients out of the hospital now and not keep them here. So it's not really an inpatient focus anymore, it's outpatient. It's that outpatient surgery, lab, radiology. How do we get you in, make it comfortable, make it a great experience for you, and then how do we get you out of the hospital at the same time? So,
When you talk about docs like McAtee coming and having more space for more equipment, do they bring the equipment or does the hospital here furnish that?
We furnish the equipment for them.
Part of the...
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. So we furnish the equipment for Dr. McAtee and Jones if they're able to provide
And
hardware.
all of the other in outpatient?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep, we provide that. We have to make it easy for those specialists to come here. Again, they could, within the 4 or 5 hours that they're here, they could have already done 5 total knees in Manhattan. So they're already taking money out of their pocket to come here. And it's not all about money to them, but you know, like they said, if we come here, we'd like to be utilized more and provide more services, which makes total sense on their standpoint.
So all the equipment, everything's
No, all the equipment, some equipment's included in that bond. The foundation has been very generous, and we'll go out and start fundraising efforts for different equipment and updated equipment for that facility. We don't want to put 1970s and 1980s stuff into a new 2016, 2017 facility. So the foundation over the last, well, since 1987 has been generous to help provide equipment and help with bricks and mortar support for Clay County Medical Center. So Marcia and her team will be helping doing a little fundraising for that project. For newer
taking
equipment.
donations for beds today.
Right. So we want to make the rooms, not only do we want to keep it all updated, but how nice would it be to provide state-of-the-art new updated equipment in those patient rooms instead of wheeling our 1991 hospital bed into that facility. So, good question. Anything else? Hi, Marcia.
I have a comment, and I think you can't underestimate this, both on Austin's part with his powers of persuasion and on the sacrifice of the docs coming. Because I had the knee scope done in December and I went to Manhattan. Well, they own part of that surgery center there. You know, they give that up to come up here and this guy talks them into coming. You know, I just think that it's a really big thing that people who own their own facility will come up here and do surgeries, but we've got to give them a place to come. And so I think it's I just think that can't be understated enough how powerful it is, and we keep adding on outpatient clinic docs. You know, we've had a gastroenterologist that comes this year. He will do surgeries, and if we need space and the proper equipment and the proper airflow and handling. So I just think it's a wonderful thing. I got to have the other knee done. I want this built, and I want it done here.
We appreciate that.
I think I can hold off another couple of years.
Thank you.
How long will it take after the bond issue passes? How long will it take to complete the project?
The project, so this main part this will only take a year, so they'll break ground in March of next year, and it'll take a year. After that, we'll move all the inpatients and all these additional services that were through here into this building. It'll be fully operational. They said in 12 months. And then this addition will probably take 4 months to complete. They move pretty quick when they come in and renovate existing space. And what's great is, again, if we build new, this doesn't interrupt any current services being provided in the medical center. So we'll still be able to provide surgeries. We'll still be able to have inpatient rooms. Could you imagine if we tried to update all of this, which we're talking about, while we're trying to keep the building operational? It'd be an infection control nightmare, first of all. And then, you know, there'd be a lot of drills going on, a lot of people on the roof. So that's why we decided, how do we cause less interruption to the facility? Because if we're not able to do surgeries or we're not able to see OB patients, well, that decreases the revenue in the facility as well. So how do we keep a constant flow of patients, not interrupt patient flow, and build this at the same time? When this is ready to go live, we can bring the patients right on in. So.
Okay, so the old part that you want to renovate, that's not included in the bond either, that'll be, so how are you going?
Our maintenance guys can do this. Yeah,
but I mean, like, what you said you wanted to expand, like the outpatient and the...
There's about, like I said, about 14% contingency in that budget. And hopefully that'll start going away in the final designs once bids go out in December if the bond moves forward. And if there is extra money left, for sure we want to do the ER. And then again, our maintenance crew here is completely amazing what they're able to do. And they're going to be able to go in and do a lot of stuff themselves, in which we already employ them, so why not use them to do this stuff? So that's what's really nice. Let's let the professionals handle all this. All these rooms are pretty much, if we want to turn those into offices, that's fine. The ER they'll be able to help with. Building the chapel they'll be able to help with. So a lot will be done with our own people. Exactly. And that's what, we got to be stewards of the money that's supplied to us from the county. And if we're able, if we have a lot of money left over, we're going to throw that to the bonds. We're not just going to hold on to that just so that bond keeps going down. So we're trying to be stewards of the finances that way. Good question.
So is there any intent to make some of the old part convert it to a 4-pipe system as opposed to the 2-pipe?
We looked at it. It's really expensive, again, because the pipes are actually through those tunnels, and it's hard to get into those tunnels and run 2 more pipes. And the current boiler systems, which are back here, haven't been updated since the 80s, and they're not really able to handle it. So we'd have to throw more money again into the older system. Which is too bad. We looked at what would it cost.
Once you have the 4-pipe, you never want to go back to the 2-pipe.
Exactly.
No one will want to be there.
Right. And with this is all going to have new HVAC, state-of-the-art electrical. If the power does go out, there's a large generator that's going to be here, 500 kilowatt generator, which this whole area will be able to stay live even when the power goes out, which will be really nice for those patients. But we did look at that. Well, how much would it cost to run 4 pipe all through here? It was a mechanical nightmare, and it's going to cost about $4 million to do that alone. Pretty nuts. So we looked at what would it, because we didn't want to, the board and I think we're pretty conservative. We don't want to go out and spend money if we don't have to. But when we started looking at just updating the surgery suite alone, because we said, well, here's lab currently, and here's some housekeeping stuff, and here's the current surgery department. We can build 2 orthopedic-sized ORs right here, right? Why not do that? Well, when we started looking at that, again, you have all the air handling units. The ceiling's only 8 feet tall. The orthopedic guys have instruments when they're doing hips and knees that high, so they'd be hitting the ceiling. So we'd have to raise the roof. We have huge electrical panels all through here. It was actually going to cost $500 to $1 million more just to update this surgery department than just building this new one, than just building brand new, which I found completely amazing. And then they'd have to phase this out, and the OR would probably be shut down for three to 4 months. So, yeah.
I would expect people then east of here are on board with closing Liberty Street there.
Yep, I've talked to the local businesses. They seem okay with it. Yeah, and they said I talked to the mayor, city council, the county commissioners, the local businesses, all seem fine. I said, well, they'll just turn before or let's see if I can get there, or after. So there's an alleyway here, but there's a street before that you can turn on. And then if you just keep following Liberty up Lafayette, you can come back and around. They said it'll be pretty harmless to them. And really, there's a lot of patients that walk through here. And I mean, I know people drive slow, but we've got people unloading all day walking into the current facility. So sometimes it is kind of a hazard. So it might be nice for the patients not to have to deal with a lot of traffic in the future.
I love the fact that it's going to be covered for pickup and drop off, because I'm sure that Mike can speak for his people too, that it's very difficult to get somebody that's in a wheelchair off of a loaded bus, off of a lift, if it's snowing outside.
Right.
It's very, very difficult. So I love that.
In the design, so this will all be a long canopy. So you'll be able to park several cars or probably 2 buses underneath here, unload. This is all heated drive and heated sidewalk. So we don't have to deal with ice issues and snow in the future. So that's all covered for those patients when they walk in.
That's great.
Yeah. If there's no other any other questions?
Well, how are you getting the word out? I mean, I know you are. I know you did radio ads. But I had a lady call me and want to know about advanced ballot because she wants to vote for the hospital.
Oh, nice.
Upstairs, there's advanced ballots at the table.
Exactly. So I've spoken at Rotary, Lions Club, and then Marcia. Thank you, Marcia. I have about, 12 presentations over the next 20 days?
I actually think you have 20.
Okay, 20 presentations over the next 20 days. So we're hitting all the different communities, the different nursing homes in the facility, in the area, the assisted livings. Speaking at BPW. Yes, thank you. So we're doing a lot of different community events. We'll be at the fair right next to your booth, handing out water. Vern tells me we're competing for water. Which you'll have
Ours is better, by the way.
Same place, Vern. And so there's a lot of different community events that we'll be doing within the next month in the facility. So, and we'll do one more mailing, Marcia, out to the community that just a nice little friendly reminder, this is what we're doing, won't increase taxes, just so it stays top of mind.
And there'll be an insert in the newspaper that has,
Yep.
I think it's the Maitland. I'm sorry. I've done so many of those planning. I'm going to be gone on vacation for 2 weeks, and so I've planned his whole day, all those days, and I'm leaving him.
But he will be at the legislative coffee speaking as well.
Right. So I'll be pretty busy over the next month. We figured, why hit it hard in June? July is probably the best time to get out there in the community and start presentations, answer questions, and then August 2nd is the vote. So that's kind of how we thought we should attack this. Yeah.
I just would like to say that when I first took over at Wakefield 6.5 years ago, a lot of people from Clay Center said, oh, well, you people go to Junction City. You don't mean anything to Clay Center. And I was really shocked at that. And I can tell you in the 6.5 years I've been there, most of my people have Clay Center doctors that come from Junction City because they have a difficult time keeping doctors in Junction City. And so I just finally said, that's it, we're stopping it. We talked to from the doctors up here and they said, yeah, we'll take them. So we bring our people up here, and I have a family member that's in the facility, and I am thrilled that he can come here to the hospital. He was in the hospital for 18 days here. And I was here twice a day to feed him, and I felt much safer having him here than in Manhattan. In Manhattan, I have to be there every minute because they pay no attention to anybody. And so I truly appreciate the hospital, and I think this is going to be a great thing.
Thank you. Well, if there's no other questions, thank you for your time. I know we ran a little late, but I appreciate everyone's time.